Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. This is our TNA episode for the week. My name is George Coles. This is my tag team partner Zip.
Thanks, Skip. Gary Rhodes, everybody.
And the first thing we started off with the Impact show this week was Jeff Hardy came down in the ring, was cutting a face promo, which brought out Kaz and Daniels, two of your favorites.
Did I say I'm a fan of the heels? And they just started tearing into them.
Yeah, which brought out James Storm to help out Jeff Hardy, leading us into a match with Hardy and Storm versus Kaz and Daniels. Or Bad Intentions, I think is what they go by.
Bad Intentions. I think Bad Intentions.
No, Bad Influence.
Bad Influence.
Bad Company?
I don't know.
Is it Paul Diamond?
I don't get Paul's been here 5 minutes. Paul's going to call back about 5 minutes.
That's a different Paul.
Oh. Anyways.
I am wearing Paul's shirt.
You are wearing Paul's shirt. Anyways, which... segue. Anyways, which will that turn that into a tag team match, playa?
No. Go ahead and do it again. A second take, Teddy.
Anyways, Hardy, Storm versus Kaz and Daniels. Kaz and Daniels have been tagging together for about a year and a half or so.
A year and a half or so.
They're excellent together. I'm not a fan of Hardy. I like Storm, but put them together, they're two of the greatest tag team wrestlers of nowadays. You know what I'm saying? They both
nowadays.
Well, I'm not saying
over the
all
last
time. They're not. Well, I'm saying they're not nowhere near the level of Arn Anderson or Bobby Eaton. But you get what I'm saying. Of modern day, they're
over the last 10 years or so.
Exactly. It was a pretty good match. I liked the ending of it.
Yeah, it was good. Hardy wins, and then Kaz and Daniels attack Hardy after the match, which is always good in your opinion and mine. Which is leading till Daniels fighting Hardy next week on the pay-per-view. Or on the TV show. Now,
what I was going to get to here is we filmed this right after the show, so I got some news on the internet that that they're going out to Europe for 4 weeks to film their show for TNA. Hardy can't go because he's on felony probation. So I'm wondering if they're going to have a changing of the guards for the pay-per-view.
We'll see on Thursday. Now, coming off of that,
changing of the guard.
Coming off of that, we're going to go into our gut check segment, or our question of the week. Now, the question was, who do you think should win gut check? I'll go ahead and let you give you the first answer.
I like Jay Bradley. He came across really good as a heel.
Yeah.
Didn't look like he had
a
pressure to fans.
This is the first time you've seen him, too.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen him, and I'm probably sure it's the first a lot of people in the Impact Zone saw him.
And he captured the crowd really quick.
He did good. I like it. He has a signature move, in the boomstick, and he lets everybody know the name of it. He has it written on the armband and everything like that.
Boomstick. Exactly.
I think he's a traditional heel.
I wonder if Evil Deads can sue him for that. Because they got evil.
No one watches TNA, George.
They got Evil Dead shirts that say that. I'm thinking he just took it off of there and.
Yeah, probably.
So no, but anyway. I totally agree with you. Our two competitors were Jay Bradley and Brian Cage. I thought they both looked good. I think Brian Cage actually looked better than some of the guys that they've let go through, like Sam Shaw. I thought Brian Cage was someone who was trained by Chris Canyon, Mortis, whatever you want to call him, Positively Canyon. And Jay Bradley, I think, trained with Ace Steel at the Steel Domain, whatever there it is. But basically, he either trained with Colt Cabana and CM Punk or a little bit after that. But I thought Jay Bradley, of the two, I liked both of them. I thought Jay Bradley came off more TV ready than Brian Cage did.
I agree. Now, Brian Cage, he had a look of like maybe about 10, 15 years ago. If I was like Vince McMahon, I'd have hired him and probably gave a belt to him because the guy has a build. But he has some decent moves, but Bradley just came out, like you just said, more TV ready.
Yeah. And he instantly connected with the crowd, which is something that's hard to do for someone that you've never seen.
Exactly.
And coming off of that, our question of the week for this week, do you think that Christopher Daniels deserves a run with the world title? He's never got it in TNA, and he's been there since the beginning, off and on. What do you think, Gary? I know he's one of your favorites. Or actually, we'll talk about that next week.
That's next week.
Yeah. Do you guys think that Daniels deserves a run with the belt? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on our Facebook. Put it on our Twitter. Put it down where?
Down there.
Right down there in the comments, and we'll talk about that next week.
slow motion for you.
All right, there, juvenile.
Anyways, we're going to get to the next match. We were talking about gut check earlier. Gut check winner Christian York versus Kenny King.
No, you're skipping the gut check segment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have the gut check segment. They brought out Bradley and Cage. Now, we were led to believe the week before that the winner, or that one guy would go to gut, get a contract and one guy wouldn't. When they got there, they eliminated Brian Cage right away, but Jay Bradley still had to go up against the three-man panel, Taz, Brother Love, and Leif Cassidy. I thought it was good. Taz said no to him, which I think was a little bit of a foreshadowing of what happens later, but we'll get into that later. The other two guys say yes, and Bradley gets a contract, which I think he totally deserved. He's a guy I think is going to be really interesting on the show.
Now, since we were just talking about gut check,
now it's not a broken segue. It's a segue that works.
Exactly. Now we're going to talk about the next match: Christian York versus Kenny King. This match here had the potential of being a lot better than what it was. With Christian York's track record of being hot and cold, this was more of a cold match.
Yes, and if you watched our Genesis review, we talked really highly about the match that they had with each other on Genesis, and we were a little bit disappointed at this one. And I know in myself personally, I was really disappointed. I thought they could do a lot better than what they did.
I'm always impressed with Kenny King, though. I really think he has a tremendous upside in this business.
He's one of the guys that TNA should be building their future around. And they kind of seem to be doing a lot with him. He's firmly in the hunt for the X Division title, which is a good title for him right now. I don't think he's quite ready to be a main eventer there.
No. But I see it in his future.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
If he stays the way he's going.
Exactly. Now, coming off of that, the whole night, with the main event or main segment being Bully Ray and Brooke Hogan getting married, they've been showing Bully Ray in the back. He had Spike Dudley there as a groomsman, Tommy Dreamer, and Taz as a groomsman. And they were doing little segments in the back with them. At one point, Bully or Bubba goes to Sting, and he says, Sting, can you talk to Hawk? So Hawk will walk to the ring with his daughter, which brings out the Stinger to the ring because, normal people
always bring it to the ring.
Talk out their personal issues in front of a crowd of 150.
175, sure.
Hey. It was 150. The other 25 were in line for Harry Potter.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, everybody.
Anyway. We had Sting talking to Hogan. Hogan ends the segment saying, always do what's right, brother.
He does always do what's right. He let Sting win fairly at Starrcade, right?
Oh, yeah, he did do that right. He put over Shawn Michaels right at SummerSlam.
He accepted a match with Stone Cold at WrestleMania.
Yeah, he put over every wrestler that he should have.
I couldn't see Hogan ever doing the wrong thing.
He did what's right by not making Bret Hart look like shit by beating Yokozuna in 2 seconds. After they had an hour-long match.
Exactly. I just can't see him doing anything wrong.
No, not at all.
Oh.
So Hogan does do everything right. Even Postomania was a huge success.
You know what, brother?
Thunder in Paradise was a right call.
Oh, God. I'm sure Jack Lemon's son wishes he ate a bullet after shooting that show. Anyway.
Coming off of that, we're going to do our Hogan count of the week. We had 4 Thunderlips.
Not as heaviest amount, but it had to be this heavy for the main event segment.
Yeah, it worked. This was a Thunderlips count that actually worked towards what they were doing on the show. It wasn't superfluous. He wasn't in there just to be there. It actually helped with the storyline. Which,
exactly.
If Hogan could put his ego aside, which he did so his daughter would get put over, which I'd like to see his daughter get put over our table right here. But anyway,
not me.
it's a different
I'm sure
story.
her testicles will get caught up on the table or something.
It's okay.
Anyways.
If it's good enough for Bully, it's good enough for me.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's get into the next match. Knockouts match. Gail Kim versus Velvet Sky, which is another number 1 competitors match. Or contenders match. Velvet gets over. Well, she can get over me anytime. But
I thought this was definitely the match of the night. I think that these two girls, like you talked about, are 2 of the best in the business in women's wrestling right now.
Exactly. I mean, Gail Kim to me is one of the most technically gifted female wrestlers of all time. Her debut in WWE, she wins the women's championship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not every woman could say that. And then they kind of dicked around with her, and then she left when the TNA made a name for herself. She pretty much made this women's division. I mean, she was their first champion, and they don't ever bring that up as much as they used to.
Every now
and then. As much as they used to. I mean, she was the first women's champion. Now it's just like,
I really liked it. These two have been putting on some really good matches. Their women's division, Knockouts division, is really starting to heat up again. I think that the influx of another person, maybe someone that's been dropped, Eve Torres, Kelly Kelly. I mean, Kelly Kelly's not a great wrestler, but name value.
Name value indeed.
Karma, Awesome Kong coming back. I mean, they need a little bit more, and that division will be as hot as it ever has been.
Oh, I think so too. Now, let's go on to the next segment. That was basically the last match of the night. That was the last match of the night. Go on to our next segment, and Rude and Aries are going down to the ring to air their grievances or their objections to the wedding.
Yes, and they're doing their thing. I think they're kind of making Rude and Aries their version of Kane and Bryan, where they're arguing with each other, but they have a common cause, which brings out Chavo and Hernandez, who object to their objections. Hopefully it leads to Rude and Aries taking the tag titles off of Chavo and Hernandez, because I'm not really excited about them as a team.
Well, I like the fact that they're doing a switch. They're taking Kaz and Daniels out of the main event tag main event spot and putting Aries and Rude there, and putting Kaz and Daniels into the main event spot for the title. While more Daniels, Kaz is going to be like corner man or whatever.
Man-whore?
Yeah. Well, you know,
they're just two dudes with attitude.
Anyways, I kind of look at them that way. Not the dude attitude, but the beginning of DX. Shawn would go to the ring, and Hunter would always be in his corner. You know, the more experienced one, and the kid being in his corner. And
maybe Daniels will break off and go for the X title, which he's been a multiple-time X champion.
I'm hoping the world title.
Did I say Daniels? I meant Kaz.
Oh, Kaz, yeah. He was a good X Division champion.
Yeah, he's one of the best. Then we had our main event segment for the night. Bully Ray getting married to Brooke Hogan. And Hawk did do the right thing. He walked his daughter to the ring.
You sure you want to do this?
What?
Are you sure you want to do this?
Well, I do want to talk about this thing.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. You don't have a vest on.
I know. It's not like I'm not fucking me on that one there.
It came off... It started off like most wrestling wedding segments. They both actually got to say I do, which is further than most wrestling wedding segments go. After they say I do, before the preacher can basically say that now you may kiss a bride crap, Taz grabs the mic, which Taz was Bully Ray's best man.
Before we get into this here, could they have picked a bigger looking pedophile to be their preacher?
Yeah, the guy in behind him.
That's right.
If you guys watch the show, there's a guy that's at every TNA show that sits almost dead center in the crowd. He has long black hair, and if he's one of the people watching our show, we're sorry.
But you're funny.
But we always call him a pedophile.
Looks could kill.
Going back to that, Taz was the best man, Bully Ray's best friend, and he grabs a microphone before basically the preacher could say his last things and marry them, and goes, "You sure you want to do this, brother?" That's why Gary was doing it.
You sure you want to do this, brother?
You sure? You sure? And Bully looks confused at him. Taz says, "It's getting awfully hot in here." Takes off his suit jacket. Of course, the crowd behind him sees that on his vest he has an Aces and Eights patch. Turns around, shows them. As soon as he turns around and shows them, Aces and Eights come out in full force and lay the whole whole wedding party out.
Enjoyed the segment. This segment here is probably one of the best endings of TNA in a long time.
It breathes some life back in the Aces and Eights, which were dead on arrival.
Exactly.
This is the first legitimate main eventer that's part of it. I mean, Mr. Anderson, we don't know if he's part yet or not, but Taz is a legitimate main eventer. He's a guy that's been a world champion. He's been the highlight of he was a highlight of the ECW show. He was, booked to look really good in WWE. I think it's absolutely breathes life back into a group that was dying badly.
It was. The storyline is getting stale, stagnant. This brings a lot into it, and no one really saw it coming.
No, none of the people, none of the predictions, none of the spoiler dirt sheets. No one had Taz as part of the group. Which, anytime you could surprise the internet, which I know the internet doesn't always get it right, or the wrestling community. Anytime you could surprise people, they surprise the crap out of us.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you could get that surprise out there, it just makes it a better show, in my opinion.
And Taz would be a good mouthpiece, because I don't know if they're going to keep him on announcing or what they're going to do with him, but we'll see what it goes from there.
I absolutely agree. Now, whether Taz ends up being the mastermind or just a manager, we'll see. I kind of like the way they're going with it now. It gives it some purpose. You got some guys. It makes sense that Taz would be associated with Devon. It makes sense that Taz would be associated with Knox and Gallows.
Yeah.
Because these are all guys he knows he's not worked with in the past, but other than Devon. But they all kind of fit the mold of what Taz is.
Mm-hmm.
And overall, what would you give the show?
The closing and everything like that, I'm going to get a 3.5.
Probably going to go with a solid 3. Just because I'm so dead set against wrestling weddings, I think the segments are corny. But we had some really good highlights. The Gail Kim Velvet Sky match was a real big highlight. Jay Bradley winning gut check was a highlight to me. The Hardy and Storm versus Kaz and Daniels was an excellent TV match.
I don't think there was not a bad wrestled match on the show.
No, York and King.
Well, York and King wasn't terrible though. I've seen a lot worse.
Yeah, but it just didn't live up to the expectations, in my opinion. But basically, that's all I got to say about that. Is there anything you need to
I think that's it, man.
Well, my name is George Coles.
I'm Gary Rhodes.
And this has been our Heel Heat TNA show for the week.